Hi everyone, my name is Faye Augustyn and I am the Intermountain West Blue Trails Manager for American Rivers. American Rivers is one of the leading national nonprofit groups focusing on river conservation throughout the entire United States. I'm focused here in Colorado, and my region that I work on is from Montana to New Mexico. So I want to talk to you a little bit more today about our Blue Trails program, which is a great community river conservation tool that we are starting to work with communities here in the West. So what is a Blue Trail? A Blue Trail is a fully voluntary grassroots river conservation tool promoting recreation primarily with the goal of creating a strong river constituency throughout the community, with the idea that through that constituency we can work on furthering conservation goals on the river and riverside lands as well. So Blue Trails are developed and pulled together through a strong community partnership. So we work directly with the local community, a very diverse group of individuals, Chamber of Commerce, county commissioners, various cities, local businesses, kind of the whole gamut of folks to help determine exactly what each community wants to see with their individual Blue Trail. So these are a couple of examples. It's everything recreation-wise from fishing, paddling, swimming, but also promoting riverside land recreation as well, walking, hiking, biking, all of those types of things. We also work with our partners on the ground to establish events and other education and outreach opportunities to help further the knowledge of the river and river health throughout the community. The goal is that rivers then become kind of that really strong highlighted part of the community. So both folks in the community and individuals traveling to the community can really understand and see the benefits of a healthy river. So how does working with American Rivers on a Blue Trail benefit your community? We have a really significant background in developing Blue Trails across the country. We've got about 7 years of experience in various places around the United States. So we're able to provide that critical help, knowledge, understanding of and things that you need to know when developing trails like this. We really are also able to provide technical assistance and oftentimes financial assistance to really help the community best determine what they're interested in seeing with their Blue Trail and how they can go about developing the necessary parts to make their Blue Trail successful. A couple of things that we work specifically with communities on developing are a strong map showing access points, private property, points of interest. We also help to develop uniform signage across all of the access points around the river, as well as having additional information on education and outreach. We help to find funding, so whether that's for new access points, infrastructure needed there, money for events, for education, that type of work, we're able to help provide funding for grant writing. We also really focus on media and outreach attention, bringing both the local community and outside tourists to come and really recognize the benefits of the river. And then we also help to coordinate the larger stakeholder group. So working directly with all of the individuals that are so critical to the development of the Blue Trail to ensure that everything that the community wants to see is able to happen. So a little bit of background. Our Blue Trails program, like I mentioned, started about 7 years ago on the Congaree River, which is in South Carolina. We focused here first in South Carolina because of interest from individual communities on establishing that connection, that strong river constituency to their river. So as you can see, this is the beautiful congaree, and through work with our partners, we were able to develop a really strong blue trail from Columbia, South Carolina, which is the capital of South Carolina, all the way down to Congaree National Park. So we worked very closely with both the city of Columbia and West Columbia and all the partners that you see in the lower left-hand corner to develop this blue trail. And through the work on the blue trail and the great work that all of our partners do, we were able to secure additional land and water conservation fund money to expand the boundaries of the Congaree National Park. So that's just one example of additional conservation efforts that are able to be had from developing that really strong river constituency within a community. In the last couple of years, we've started working with communities here in the West. And so we have about 5 or so blue trails in the Southeast, and then we're working on 2 blue trails here in the West. So like I mentioned, in the last couple of years, we've gotten some requests to work with various communities in both Colorado and in Arizona. We started working on the Verde River Blue Trail about 2 years ago or so, focusing on working with partners in and around the Clarksdale area. And the Verde River, as probably most of you know, is a really amazing tributary to the Colorado and is one that is worked on by a great number of partners. And we really see a blue trail as a great way to just sort of continue working with the great group of people that are on the ground and continuing to develop that river constituency within the Verde watershed. And then in the last year, we started working on the Eagle River Blue Trail. So the Eagle River, for those of you not familiar, is just east of here in the Eagle Valley near Vail. And that one, we're focusing really closely with our partners on critical riverside land protection and providing additional access for folks both in the Eagle Valley and tourists as well. So we're really excited to continue working with our current partners on these 2 projects, as well as developing additional projects and working with other communities across the region. So focusing a little bit more on the Verde River, in the last 2 years, we have worked with partners to develop a Verde River Blue Trail. We've developed 2, as a coalition, 2 new access points. We have some great handicap accessibility ramps and additional maps, signage work along the Verde River. Some of our partners include the Verde River Greenway. You'll hear from Laura here afterwards, the town of Clarksdale, and a variety of other partners that are really making sure that this blue trail is successful. So this is just a demonstration of one of the maps that we worked to create. So it shows the entire length of the river, and then by segment shows the different areas that the blue trail will run through. And then we have more in-depth maps that then show very specific access points, points of interest, things of that nature that we have for each of those segments. So as I mentioned, on the Eagle River Blue Trail, we're working very closely with the county, cities across the county, the Eagle Valley Land Trust, as well as the Eagle River Watershed Council to develop a blue trail on both the Eagle River and the Upper Colorado, with the idea of, again, creating that river constituency and protecting really important riverside lands for additional access and protection. So we are working to really try and develop a strong support system through meetings, events, educational events, and then identifying future needs for protection as well. I think the one thing that blue trails do a really good job of doing is bringing together all of the work that everyone is working on across the watershed. So we're able to help identify additional recreation needs, Again, providing a lot of information to the community about the river, as well as all the amazing projects that partner groups are doing around the watershed. Again, developing and showing that strong recreation, tourism, economic tie that oftentimes folks can tend to forget about. Increasing youth engagement, providing funding, and again, really just providing that strong connection, that strong constituency for the river. So as we develop blue trails, and we've been working with communities to develop blue trails, there are kind of three main things that we think are really important when we think about a blue trail and we look and work with communities that are excited about developing a blue trail. Obviously, recreation, we want people to get out on the river, play in the water, paddle, float. So that's a critical component. Strong ecological values, so working and determining areas that are really critical riverside lands, whether it be for protection or for restoration in terms of restoration of habitat and invasives removal. And then I think the really most important component of a blue trail is developing and finding that strong community support and involvement. You can't obviously have a successful blue trail unless you have really strong community buy-in and support for these trails. And so that's something that is really critical. Just to go a little bit further into detail on some of the conservation outcomes and goals that we have when developing blue trails. So that's a really critical component. We really see the blue trails as great river conservation tools that help to establish that sense of stewardship and then really help to eventually get to stronger conservation goals. So we, from the get-go, work with the community stakeholder group to determine what conservation outcomes are most desirable for the community. So that can be, either the protection side, like it's been a lot in South Carolina, or what I'm thinking is going to be a lot more common here in the West is going to be the restoration side of things. So focusing on invasives removal, habitat restoration. I would love to hear anybody's thoughts on ways that you feel like your work could be involved in a blue trail. We're still sort of figuring everything out from that side of our work here, so I would love feedback on that as well. So just in terms of outcomes, what we see happening with blue trails, we'd love to see blue trails, not just blue trails, but the idea of strong communities connected to their river throughout the entire Intermountain West. Really establishing that through recreation, through just getting out and enjoying your river. And then having that strong community support and buy-in. And as a component of this, I just want to let folks know that as a part of our Blue Trails program, we'll be starting a small grants program this coming summer, which will be grants for communities through the Intermountain West, so Montana to New Mexico. They'll be between $5,000 and $25,000. We're not exactly sure on the start date yet, but they'll be focusing, there's kind of three separate areas you can apply for. The first one being education outreach around your river, really working to connect your community. The second one being infrastructure access needs, so money that would funnel towards, building a new boat ramp or whatever your community is interested in. And the third one being those conservation outcomes and money that could go towards a restoration project, conservation easement funds, whatever your community decides that they're interested in. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions.
How do you differentiate between a water trail and a blue trail? I always get confused.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So that's something that we get a lot because really there's not really a big difference between the two. I think the one thing that we can really say with blue trails that we focus on is having those strong conservation outcomes. With water trails, your community is still going to be really involved, going to be really supported and connected to your river. But I think with blue trails, we really focus on making sure that there is that conservation component as well. And so we're able to help either provide funding or technical assistance in determining, areas for protection or areas for restoration. Yeah.
So could you talk a little bit about how you interact with federal land agencies that manage the landscape that these rivers run through? Because I have not seen much of that so far.
Yeah. So, that is something that I think they're obviously a huge part of our, of the strategic partnership that we work with. And I think we're still sort of figuring out, with each Blue Trail, it's a little bit different how we work directly with the federal agencies, but really making sure that we understand, their management priorities and that they're included and involved with the overall goals of the Blue Trail. So I'm not sure if that directly answers your question. We can talk a little bit later afterwards, so if you'd like as well.
Is there another national level program that's more similar to Wild and Scenic Rivers? It's actually a designation, because I live in Aztec, New Mexico, and they're trying to get a paddle trail going, and a lot of people were concerned that it was going to be this big governmental top-down thing, and people were nervous about that right at the start, but we didn't really know much about it.
Yeah, so there was. It was called the National Blueways Initiative, and that was started through Secretary Salazar's America's Great Outdoors Initiative, and that's a very separate, now defunct, actually, program that was, it's no longer around at all. But they were, really interested. That program was very interested in, connecting communities, but to the river, but on a much larger scale, so whole watershed scale, size of things. But there was some controversy around that exact idea, that it was very much a top-down federal program, and so that's no longer around. And Blue Trails are separate from that, because we really focus on working directly with the individual communities and ensuring that it's very much a grassroots, on-the-ground driven project that the community really has input and buy-in in.